Dysregulated nervous system while going through a divorce. I know it can be challenging, and trying to get hold of our emotions can really take a toll on us. But we have a special guest with us today to discuss that and so much more in this segment of It's Scary to Be Married. Today's guest is a first time guest to the platform. Let me give you a short introduction to today's guest. She has spent more than 25 years as a divorce attorney before stepping away from litigation to focus on divorce, mediation, and nervous system regulation. Her work centers on helping people divorce differently with less reactivity, fewer battles, and decisions that actually hold up long term. I love that. She lives in a coastal town in Northeast Massachusetts and is happily divorced and remarried. Has four grown children. Loves the ocean and yoga, and is currently figuring out sourdough like the rest of us. Brave Hearts community, let's show some love to Marty Chadwick Balcom. How are you doing this evening, Marty?
I'm doing great, Sean. So great to be here with you tonight.
Yes, thank you for being a guest today. We had a chance to meet on Threads, and I love everything that you're doing. And so I'm actually happy about this topic because I've been divorced and remarried as well. So I'm welcome to the club.
Yeah, it's a good club to be in. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's jump into today's topics. I want to honor your time. And so, what actually happens to our nervous system during divorce?
So, if anyone's heard about nervous system regulation or dysregulation, we usually have four or five different ways to be: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flood. They like the F's. I think there's another one, but those are the ones I usually work with. So, what that means is our nervous system gets stuck in one of those ways, which are perfectly natural. We need to be able to have those good stresses. Like the example's always our cavemen ancestors needed to be able to run from the saber-toothed tiger, so you had to fight or flee or whatever, right? But the way we've worked now is tend to get stuck in that. So what we find is in divorce, which is one of the most stressful times for an adult. I think it's like second to the loss of like a spouse or a
Yeah.
child. Um, you you're going to turn into whatever your coping mechanism is. So for folks of fighting, we see it. These are the people who are battling every little piece of their divorce, right? Like it is just a battle down to the Tupperware, which is kind of it's the stereotype, but I have been in battles over Tupperware and it's insane. Flight, right? Someone's gone, like they just don't show up, they just won't show up to anything, they disappear, they're not part of the process. um Freeze, you've got someone who just they can't engage, like they're there but they're not engaging in the process. The fawning one was new to me. What I hadn't actually realized what that means is that's the people pleaser, right? That's the person who's going to try to constantly do what needs to be done, like to make other people happy. We talk a lot about people pleasing, but it's actually a nervous system stress response. So it's a sign of dysregulation, which I didn't realize that. I was a great people pleaser, so I thought. Um, and then the flood is when you just get overwhelmed and things are just every little decision becomes something that becomes too much, and you can't decide on the littlest things. So you're trying to co-parent with someone or you're trying to get through the process. Even asking someone to fill out a simple piece of paper, what might be simple to me as their attorney is not simple for them. So those are like the big categories of it, but it shows up in many different ways.
Yeah. The fawning, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's a new one. I haven't heard that one, but that happens. I think sometimes people try to be the pleaser just to try to let's keep this show moving kind of thing. That's interesting because yeah, going through my divorce, I wasn't fawning. I was I was
I was a fawner, man. I gave up a lot because I wanted it done. I knew what it could be, and so I gave up things that I should not have, but it turned out fine. But and a lot of people do, not just women. I've worked with both men and women, particularly in a lot of my mediations, and they're willing to just say, whatever, fine, whatever that person wants. I just want it over with, or I just want to make it so it's okay. And then they have to live with those decisions. So it's not, we try to do it from a regulated place. So when you're making a decision, entering into a contract, which is what a divorce agreement is, we're doing it with good choices from our body, not from fear or exhaustion or dysregulation.
Yeah. So many questions I want to ask you, but for the sake of time, I want to ask, how do you know if your nervous system is dysregulated?
So there's this thing called the window of tolerance. So everybody has one and they're going to look different for each of us. But essentially it's the area where you can make decisions or be where you can get stressors and not be hyper aroused, like just out of it, angry, kind of at the high end or the very low end of total disengagement. And so for every single person, it's going to look different. And when I'm working with folks, we're really trying to figure out how do you respond to stress. I ask a lot of different questions to figure that out. But if folks are trying to figure it out at home, are you constantly anxious? Are you in a depressed mode where you're unable to do things a lot? What not just with the divorce, but other parts of your life. Sometimes it's just aggravated by the divorce, but typically, if you're dysregulated, um, it makes everything else around you difficult. So you're snapping at people. You are finding that you can't concentrate on things. Things that brought you joy might not bring you joy before. Things that you could tolerate all of a sudden send you into bananas. Like,
Mhm.
you know, maybe maybe not your spouse if you're getting divorced. This might just be my own personal opinion. Chewing. All of a sudden chewing is like, oh my God. And this is a person that's been chewing their whole life next to you, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't stand it. These are signs of no, that's a little one, but
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I hear that though. Some people they just like, I can't stand the way he chews, and I'm like, that how do you not like? I mean, he's been
Yeah.
chewing in front of you for years.
Yeah. It's something like, right? You're sometimes it might be like, it's usually a you problem, right? Like what I realize that I'm like, my husband's been chewing the same way. We've been together 17 years. Like, yeah, you got it. He has not changed his chewing. That's a me problem. So we cope. We find ways, but when I'm out of my I'm out of the window of tolerance. Some days that makes me bananas. Other days I wouldn't even notice it. So
Mhm.
he's done nothing different. It's all me.
Yeah.
That's the showing that, it's about my nervous system is a little off balance there.
Wow, that is so good. So are you saying that, and correct me if I'm wrong, so could it be so when the small things that your spouse is doing that irritates you, and granted you've been with them for years, so you're saying that anytime that starts to irritate you, then you're dysregulated?
I'm likely dysregulated. It's probably something about me that has nothing to do with him. Now, when we're in divorce, it's different, right? But just in because we're all going to go in and out of that window of tolerance. So the
Mhm.
more regulated we are, the larger the window becomes. And the
Mhm.
goal is not to always be in this state of pure control or rest and relax. We have to fluctuate back and forth because our body needs stress, right? Like you're going to live life. So things are going to happen, but like the person that screams at the grocery clerk because they did some, or the coffee barista because they got them the wrong coffee, that's coffee barista's doing nothing other than perhaps making a little innocent mistake, but that person is walking around dysregulated. you know
Mhm.
Road rage, all of those things are examples of they don't have the ability to handle a stressor that comes at them because they're so dysregulated.
Yeah, that's good because I used to take everything personal. I mean,
Hmm.
Marty, I was in therapy for years trying to get this figured out. Like, why am I? And my therapist told me one day, I will never forget this. She said, Sean, you don't have to carry everything. And I was like, I don't.
Nope. It's not yours, right? And that's the biggest thing, learning what's mine and what's not. And yeah, years and years of work. I quit my litigating job in 2024, I think. um, and spent the last year plus really regulating my own nervous system with 20 plus years of carrying other people's trauma. Like, and I worked mostly in domestic violence. So most of my cases were centered around, the worst of the worst cases, carrying other people's trauma. I realized, I mean, I couldn't, I was so dysregulated. There was so much. And I think, we're going to talk about like dysregulation for clients, but attorneys,
Yeah.
judges,
Hmm.
court personnel, like, I don't know if you've spent any time in a divorce court or family court.
Hmm.
It is the lowest frequency place you can go into because there's so much negativity, so much, um, just so much pain
Yeah.
that it infiltrates people. And if we could learn to raise that vibration, I'm all about vibration, and I know we'll talk a little bit about my woo, but it truly makes a difference. Like, that would be incredible. That's part of my goal down the drain. My big term, long-term goal is to help attorneys, to help judges, other folks be able to do this for themselves. Because one principle of nervous system regulation is co-regulation. So if you are regulated, myself, you, whomever, we actually are able to bring others into that regulation. So one of my pieces of my work, especially when I'm doing mediation, is I have to really work hard to be regulated myself so that I can hold the space for people and be able to create that calm or a safe environment. Doesn't always have to be calm. It has to be a safe environment so that we can have the difficult conversations and be productive, or
Hmm.
not, right? Sometimes it's just about holding the space and recognizing we're not going to get there in this session, and that's okay too. But it's a skill that takes a while, but anyone can do it. Like, it's not magic. Like, it's something
Yeah.
we can all learn to do.
Yeah. Wow, this is so good. Yeah, I wish I could find you back, when I was going through my divorce, because Lord knows.
I didn't have it during mine. I definitely did not have it during mine. This is a lot of trial and error, and honestly, it came from, I got so tired of telling people that the court is not going to solve your problem, right? Like, again, in my cases were the worst of the worst cases, and people were looking to the court to provide them emotional justice, for a judge to validate, make them feel better. And
Mhm.
even if they got everything that they wanted, which never happens, it just doesn't. But even if it did, you still don't feel great because that's not what's going to help heal you. It's doing the work on your own nervous system. It's taking back control of your own life and finding safety in your own body, which the court cannot do for you. No judge can do that for you.
Yeah.
So once I learned that, I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. There's a way for people who are suffering
Mhm.
and going through it to be able to take control back of their life. And even in the cases where, like, I work now exclusively with mediation, so a choice I made, but not everyone gets that, right? Like, you just have people who are, we've seen it, like, you've got very difficult spouses
Yeah.
on the other side, but there's a way you don't have to take on their stuff, right? Like, there's ways to learn to control your own nervous system, to be able to set up your boundaries. It's much harder, but there is hope, and there's some possibility. So that's how I got into it. Honestly, just I got so heartbroken and fatigued by just having no answers and no solutions to being able to help people who are really at a loss for being able to take back their lives.
Wow. Yeah, that had to be a lot to carry. I mean, yeah, and to hear the worst of the worst stories, and try to go to bed at night, and you've been hearing, oh my God.
Yeah, I had a early on in my career, one of my clients was killed by her husband. So it was like 4 years into my career that very much changed the trajectory on what I did and how I did it. But it's something that it took me a very long time to let that go and be able to, again, it's not mine to carry, but my body didn't know that,
Course, of
right?
course. Yeah. Yeah, what they say, the body keeps the score kind of
It
thing.
does. Oh God, yeah. 25 years of it was a lot.
Mm, jeez. Can you walk us through one quick technique someone could use right now?
Yeah. And it sounds trite, but it's the breath because the breath is accessible. If you're alive, you're breathing
Hmm.
and it's free. So we'll do just a quick little thing. So I'm going to teach down to walk you through it. Okay.
Okay.
Do a little breath. So
Okay.
we do a shorter inhale and a longer exhale because that's signaling to our nervous system that we're safe.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to invite you, if your feet are on the floor, if anyone's listening or watching and or on the replay, just find that, feel your feet, feel your seat. If you want, you can close your eyes
Hmm.
and you just take a moment and just inhale through the nose. And then I want you to exhale out the mouth. And again, inhale through the nose. Longer exhale out the mouth. I'm going to do that one more time. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. And then just come back to the space.
Hmm.
How does that feel?
Yeah, you feel like centered. Like you feel like it does. It feel like a fresh start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful. I used to do it with my clients a lot before we would go into sessions. Tapping, I'm a big tapper, EFT
Mhm.
tapping, I do body tapping.
Mhm.
I bring my tuning forks. I'd bring them with me to court. I would use them on my clients.
Mhm.
Had to do it in the hall one day. When my client was like, "We need to do this," she'd
Yeah.
gotten used to it, and there was no room, so we did it in the hall. Another woman standing out there looks to her attorney, who I know, and she's like, "What is she doing?" And the woman goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm tuning her up. We're getting some. We're doing a clearing." And
Yeah.
the lady goes to her attorney, "Do you do that? I need one of those." She's like, "I do not." And I'm like, "Well, maybe you should." That's what she's like. She's like, "Can you do me?" I'm like, "Well, no, no, we don't have a relationship, but it's whatever works for people." But the breath, and a lot of people are like, "Don't tell me to breathe." I'm like, "Well, okay, but the breath is the quickest, most accessible way to change your state."
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's the easiest, but there's lots of other things people can do. But
Yeah.
pausing is really, before you speak, I used to tell my clients when we were in court, we could take a pause, you could take a breath, breathe twice, whatever you need to do before you speak, before you text, take a
Mhm.
pause. The pause is a beautiful reset.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, because I had to learn that myself. I had to learn that, and the pause is so powerful because you allow, if this makes sense, it's like you allow yourself to catch you before you like start saying things that you shouldn't, or you know. And
Yep.
'cause I used to just respond like I'm
Yes.
not doing this. I'm upset. I'm not doing it. Whatever. I didn't care what happened. I was done, but I was just being reactive and I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, they say that's it. It's like you're reacting in the moment. And one of the things about nervous system dysregulation is the urgency. It's like it's so important. I have to address it now. And your body's in that adrenaline and it feels so urgent.
Mhm.
But reality, and I'll say to my clients most of the time, you don't have to respond right now. Like you
Mhm.
could probably put that down for at least 10 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe three.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like you have to get that, and here's what I always say, if you feel like there's something you have to get out, like you've got to, there's something in you that's reacting, say it, type it, not in a text, not in an email, write it app, write it down. I don't care how you get it out of your body, because I want it out of your body, because it's
Mhm.
a physical, we want to physically release that.
Yeah.
But do not say it to that person, say it in a voice memo, say it to a safe person, write
Mhm.
it somewhere that you're not going to send it, and then come back to it after you've regulated a little bit. Chances are you don't want to send it. It's just not appropriate.
Yeah.
And the other thing is in divorce, especially if you're in the middle of it,
Mhm.
even post texts get used against you. They become weaponized, right? They become evidence.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And so if don't do it. That's just my thought is I'm like, don't do it. Call a friend, phone a friend, and talk yourself out of it. That is the best. That's
Yeah.
the best advice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. The pause is powerful. That has helped me tremendously. Lord knows, I've come a long way, Marty.
Oh, believe me, if I look back at some of the texts I sent to my ex and my emails, even now, like when I'm corresponding with someone, I get heated. I'm like, I just need to put that down. She does not, just because, and text, I think we feel such a pull because we're like actively engaging, or people on social media. Some
Uh,
of the responses, I'm like, did you really think about that before you fired that off? They need to take a pause. Take a pause, come back to that. You'll find it again if it's important. But
yeah.
oh my goodness, what some of these people are writing to each other because it's less personal because we don't know who each other is, but
Hmm.
it still has impact. Still has
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah. And a lot of this is maybe even just using in your relationship and in your marriage, right? I mean, you get into a heated argument or you're about to,
Yep.
and that pause kind of puts a hold on things, you know. And it shows a form of control too, as far as like controlling yourself. Like
Yeah.
I can do this, you know.
Yeah, it's an emotional intelligence thing, which is really hard in the midst of it. And I think, in a healthy relationship, of course, we're going to have fights, we're going to have disagreements. But I know for my husband and I, a lot we've learned is we learned each other's kind of ways about it. And so we can step away without it being like, I'm not abandoning you, I'm not like disrespecting you, but I just need a timeout, right? Like I just need a little break and the other person respects that because it's like versus the unhealthy it's like oh now like that you can't leave me, I want to engage with you, and it's like that's talking about two dysregulated nervous systems. Like
Mm,
when I'm doing mediation and I really try and get a sense of who my clients are and what their triggers are, what activates them, so that when we notice it we take a pause, and sometimes we end it because it's better to walk away than cause more damage in the midst of it.
yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
once it happens, you can't take it back. It's yeah, that's good. So, what does regulating your nervous system actually change legal outcomes? Or why does regulating your nervous system actually change legal outcomes?
So, from a mediation perspective, it helps in that the agreement we enter into when you sign it, you truly mean it, right? Like you understand it, you've thought about it. You may not love it, right? Like because any agreement is compromise, but given the circumstances, it's something that you understand and you can live with, and you didn't just do it to be done with it because you're so frustrated. You didn't do it because you just want to make this other person happy or you're feeling guilty or for whatever all the other reasons people do, and it lasts because I see so many people come to me. They had a mediated agreement years ago, not even that long ago, and they don't like it, right? It didn't last because they didn't truly enter it under a regulated nervous system. They made an agreement for reasons that weren't that didn't hold up. So that's number one. When you're mediating an agreement and you're making a contract, it's a legal contract. And depending on the state that you're doing it in Massachusetts, where I am, um, some things can't be undone. Anything with kids can always be undone. But sometimes issues regarding property, regarding spousal support, you're stuck with that. So if you decide a year later you don't like it, yeah, that's too bad. So you really don't want to, you want to make sure people are informed. You know, people, some people just want the divorce done quick and cheap. It's like, yes, and you know, you got to think about what you're giving up.
Yeah.
What are the trade-offs? And let's make those decisions from a regulated place. In litigation, you know, you, if you have, if you're regulated, at least you're able to be present, you're able to participate in the process a little bit more thoughtfully,
Mhm.
and hopefully get some better decisions. Because you know, I realized, I think I'd put a post up about the calmest nervous system wins. And somebody commented and they're like, yeah, that's my abuser. They're such, you know, they're so calm, cool, and collected. And ever we're in front of the judge, they're, and I was like, oh, good point. Well, they're not truly regulated. They're
Yeah.
calm, but it's a facade. Because my job for so long was to push those buttons. That's what my whole job was to do, was to figure out what the you know, what how to instigate them, how to break them down.
Hmm.
And so when someone's regulated, you can't do that. It's really hard to do that. But when you're dysregulated, it's all a facade and it's super easy. I was really good at it. I would
Really?
find their weak spot and go for it, which is, again, it's not like how I like to be, but that's what the work is. So if you're regulated, you can protect yourself against that.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of power in regulation then, to know
There
that.
is.
Yeah.
And it's all at your own, like, you have the control. That's the beautiful piece of it. It's not like I'm not giving it to someone. They are stepping into it themselves, and it's a tool that you can use. And again, it's a lot of work and it's easy to slip out, and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you failed. It just
Yeah.
means, oh, I just have to get back. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah, because I remember growing up, and people would say, if you were saying, if somebody called you a name or whatever that was, and your parents or mentors or whoever, they would say, you don't have to believe that, you don't have to buy into it, and it's like, oh, I didn't have to buy into it, and it's like I did because I reacted.
Yeah, when, oh my gosh, in court, people are like, they lie. I'm like, everybody lies all the time. They're like, the lawyers lie. I'm like, yep. Well, let's
Mhm.
just expect that everyone is going to lie. And there's not going to be accountability for it because we can't prove it. You know it. I know it, but we can't prove it. And usually it doesn't. I mean, sometimes it matters, but usually it doesn't. Like, you know what I try, I'm like, so if the lie doesn't actually impact anything, getting all riled up about it. But again, like, that's the same thing you said. Like, you don't have to believe what somebody else has said,
Yeah, yeah.
but we do,
Mhm.
especially when we're in a dysregulated state because we're flooded, we're over all the things, and our nervous system is trying to protect us because that's its job and it's done so well. And we want it to stay with us, but you know, we don't want to shame it. We don't want to, you know, shame ourselves. It's just understanding that there's a different way to be able to be now.
Yeah, yeah. So good. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but maybe we can go a little more in depth about it. What do you do with a client who's about to walk into a difficult hearing?
Yeah, so usually we'll have strategized before most of the time. Um, you know, so I'll have done some of my own work with them to figure out where they're, what they need, what helps them regulate. A lot of times it's breathing, as I said, tapping.
Mhm.
Um, Here's a quick one. So there's an acupressure point here between your thumb and your your first finger. So
Mhm.
you just pinch that, and it, especially if you're going in front of a judge, right? Like up standing in front of court, and people, I have so many clients that had anxiety. It brings you into the present moment. You feel the pain. If you press it really hard, you're going to feel it, but it also releases some things in your body, which I don't remember exactly what, but it helps you stay present and stay connected. So I would have them stand under the table. with
Hmm.
their hand
Yeah.
and breathe. Sometimes it would help them shut up because that's what I needed them to do, not talk. Sometimes it would help them be present when they did need to talk. So it
Mm,
would all depend on I would coach them around it. But I had all these little things that would, we might have like a little fidget thing to put in their hand. Sometimes you
mm,
had to be careful in court because sometimes they would let you have them, sometimes they wouldn't. But I had all these little tactics, whether it be like if you just had to like tap your toe or little things like maybe they would just do this with their fingers if they were sitting. Um, yeah, they're sometimes they would be doing this. This is another one that is releasing. They wouldn't do this when we were up in front of the judge, but they would be. I would look back in the they'd be sitting in the benches. I would be sitting up with the attorneys. I'd look back. I have clients going like,
they're like pinching their eyebrows. They're like kind
yeah,
of.
you pinch your eyebrows. It's like it's a stress reliever.
Uh,
Yeah, so it kind of you just there's all these if you do Chinese medicine, there's all these meridians and acupressure points in your face and in your
mhm,
fingers.
mhm,
So we would work at your ears. So I would help them figure out what feels right to them. And so we would learn our strategies. And then breathing, that was the other thing. I would teach them some breath work and they would sit there and breathe. We would breathe together, we would co-regulate. Um, and then I have this little thing. Oh, here it is. Here, it's this little box. It's called the Schumann. It's a resonator. It resonates different frequencies,
mhm,
and I set it. Um, and I can put it in my bag, and
mhm.
I would take this into court with me, just in my bag.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I only had it because it was after I stopped litigating. I got it, but I had two cases that I had to go back to court for. Both days I had it. I had the best outcomes I've ever had.
Mm,
One judge, she was like, this was one of the worst cases I'd had. We got a very good outcome, but the judge actually apologized to my client and then for all she had been through and then congratulated her on her work, like was nice and pleasant. One of the attorneys, as I was leaving, he looked and he said, what did you just do? I have never seen that happen. And I was just like, you have to give me a call. We'll have lunch. But I had my box. We had done breath work. She had done a ton. I mean, she had really done a lot of work for herself,
wow.
just in everything. But we both showed up. We were a team, and it made a difference. So those are some of the little tips of it's my little woo side, but a lot of it's just practical. A
Yeah.
practical. It's science. This is all science backed stuff
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually seen some people do that where they touch like in between. I've seen people do that before.
Yeah, they also say it's good for hangovers. I don't know. That's the other thing I've been told. I'm like, well, I think it relieves stress in your head and so it's good for a lot of things. But yeah, I remember I was somewhere. We have a boat. I was in a marine, and someone's like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Because I'm using it for my clients' stress out. She's like, "It's really good for a hangover." I was like, "Oh, okay, sure. We'll add that to the list."
I know, right? I have to remember that.
Yeah, try it
Oh,
out.
what's the connection between nervous system regulation and decision making during divorce?
Great question.
Mhm,
So it goes back to that. A lot about nervous system regulation is that window of tolerance that we talked about before and being present. So being able to be in the present moment and and knowing that you're safe because so much of what happens for people during dysregulation is they're not safe in their body. They just don't feel it because they're experiencing either a past trauma, right? And especially folks who and we all have traumas in our life, whatever that is,
yeah.
that can be showing up, or there's so much anxiety around the future. There's
Mhm,
that worry, that anxiety, and they're not present with what's right now, right in front. Like you and I right here, we're having a conversation. We're both safe in our bodies.
mhm,
But we might have something might trigger us to think, I'm not safe. I'm not present, and then I'm making decisions out of past and future, not the present.
mm,
And so we can have conversations that are based in present moment and really more logic comes on versus that survival mode.
mm,
So when you're deciding whether or not a co-parenting plan is going to work. If you're in that really dysregulated state, you could be saying, well, it's so unfair that the other party's going to get more time. And I really want to have 50-50. Great. Except for that your job doesn't allow that. And now all of a sudden you're taking on this big burden that it becomes a burden to you. And now you're trying to figure out how do you manage your kids, your time with your kids, where you're a single person now, not a double, not a couple.
Yeah.
And because you really wanted that because it felt fair and just, but it's not practical, right? Like when we actually look at it from a practical position or a logical position,
Mhm.
um, again, like the house, you might really want to keep the house. Like the house is so important. Well,
Mhm.
guess what? We're in a time when you bought that house 10 years ago, your interest rate was 2.65%. You have to refi to buy your person out. Okay, now you're at 6%, plus you had to buy it out. You can't really afford that house now, but you really want to keep it, right? So we have to be able to remove some of the emotional pieces of it. And again,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean you're not going to feel it. It doesn't mean it's not unfair. It just means that you're able to make a better decision with all the considerations for yourself and your family.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was, yeah, great response because I was just like, ooh, that's tough, being regulated in decision making. But like you said, it's that window.
It's the window of tolerance, and we in my process we make room for dysregulation because we're all going to have it,
Mm-hmm.
and we make room usually between sessions 2 and 3. I usually do 5 sessions with folks, or up to 5, but 2 and 3 everything falls apart. First one's great, second one things start to like go a little down, but between 2 and 3 like they're completely dysregulated. I
Mm-hmm.
plan for that. And
Yeah.
then we then come back to the table, have different strategies, and we build it in.
Hmm. That's so good. Hello, Ann. Hello, Jamie. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have some people on Substack tonight that's
Oh,
listening.
that's cool.
Yeah. So, hello, everyone. So, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Can this work even if your ex is completely unreasonable or hostile?
Yes, that's a great question. And the
Mhm.
answer is yes. And it
Mhm.
goes back to being able to regulate yourself to be able to deal with that hostile, unreasonable person. Because you can't like again the what happens when you're dysregulated is you have unrealistic expectations around what's going to happen and what the outcomes are going to be.
Mhm.
And so once you can get some regulation, it's which is really really hard, but
Yeah.
it can be done. And you can you can migrate through that process a little bit better,
Mhm.
because it's the one thing you do have control over,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
have to respond to or react to their usually people who are in these situations are always reacting. They're always like on the defensive to that person. And
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they've got to fight harder, do more. And sometimes it's actually just really backing away and just letting them, because they need you to be dysregulated. That's their power. And as
Yeah.
soon as you regulate, they lose it. Mhm.
Whew. Yeah. That's so real. Last question. This is so good. So, what would you tell someone who thinks this sound woo for a legal process?
Yeah, they do. And I'm so transparent with folks. When I first started doing this, I was a little less. I'm like, oh, people aren't going to want to hire me. And I realized I don't care. I have to do it my way. I have to really be authentic about it. So nobody, well, here's what I'll say. If they don't like it, then they'll hire somebody else. There's plenty of mediators who are going to do it by the book of the traditional mediation and not care about your emotions. But everyone I've talked to seems to be really okay with it. And it is a little woo, but I will say nervous system is the science really that's in there. I mean, I'm a sound healer, I'm an energy healer, I'm a yoga teacher. I do all those things and I will bring it in.
Mhm.
Um, I do collaborative law, which is a little different than mediation because you have the two attorneys, the clients, a financial person, and then I'm a coach in that setting. I start our sessions with sound healing. I've done it with breath work. I've done a little meditation, and we have much better. The attorneys who have been part of other processes have said this is a completely different experience because we're all regulated. It's that co-regulation.
Yeah.
And they love the sound bowls. Particularly, I use the crystal bowls with them, and
Yeah.
it's like it is woo. But it's vibration, and
Yeah.
vibration is energy, and it's everything's energy.
For
So,
sure. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow, what a powerful episode, Marty. This has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your experience and being able to help others in this process. Let everyone know how they can get in touch with you. I'll have everything linked in the description below.
Yeah, so my website's really the best spot, integrativedivorcemediation.com. I'm on Threads, that's where you'll find me most. I do have an Instagram and Facebook, but Threads seems to be the place I'm at because that's where most people are these days that are interacting. But my Instagram has it. It's all at integrative divorcemediation.com. And I do free 30-minute consultations for people that want to connect around mediation. I'm
Mhm.
only licensed for mediation in Massachusetts, but I do coaching for folks that are in litigation or just need some nervous system support. And I can do that anywhere in the world, actually. So,
Yeah, yeah. Got
yeah.
you. Got you. Well, you got the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. That's
Oh, maybe. Let's see. We're going to the AFC Championship. It's not I've been I'm a big well, I was a Drew Bledsoe fan. Big Tom Brady.
oh yeah.
That's my sourdough starter, Tom Brady. That's what
Tom
I named him. The greatest starter of all time. He has not let me down yet, so we'll see. But it's good. It's finally nice to be back. It feels good. It's been a long time for us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Brave Arts community, you heard it here. So go connect with Marty. I'll have everything linked in the description below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this with someone because you never know what someone is going through. So share it in your group chat. Make sure when I post this that you share it with a friend. You just never know. People don't say
Mhm.
anything, but you can send them this link and they'll say, "Thank you so much" in a direct message. So make sure you share this with a friend. Also, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review. By doing so, it leaves you in the drawing for a free Amazon gift card. Who doesn't like free stuff? This is Sean Heineman. This has been a phenomenal episode with special guest Marty Chadwick Balcom. And we are out.
Thank you.